Welcome to Flip It Furniture. My name is Amy. Today I'm going to be making over this previously painted table. I have painted this table not once, twice, but 3 times. As I was painting it black, I realized why I keep painting it, why I'm never happy with the results. It's because it's not meant to be painted. So in today's video, I'm going to remove 3 layers of paint and restore this to a beautiful wood finish. I'm using citrus strip to remove some of the paint layers. I add a generous amount and then I use a cheaper brush to move the citrus strip around. Once I do that, I add some plastic wrap and I cover up my citrus strip. That keeps the heat in so that it doesn't dry out. Once citrus strip starts to dry out, it's really hard to remove. So I find using the plastic wrap helps to keep it wet, and it's just so much easier to remove. Now I come back 45 minutes later and my citrus strip is working, so I'm going to use a putty knife. If you're just stripping furniture for the first time, I highly recommend that you use a plastic putty knife because you don't want to scratch your surface. That happens very often. So I've done this, I can't even count how many times. So I'm using a metal one, but I just have to be careful that I don't scratch my wood. And I'm pretty happy because I have top coated this a few times now, and so 1 layer of top coat came off and 2 layers of paint. Actually, I probably did 2 or 3 coats of each color, so a lot has come off with my first coat of citrus strip, so I'm really happy about that. Using citrus strip so much, I've learned a few things. I've learned that I'm not gonna fight with the paint to try to remove it. It's so messy and it's way too hard. I like it when it just comes off nice and easy. So instead of fighting with that last coat of gray paint, I just add another coat of citrus strip. I leave it for 45 more minutes and it just is gonna come up with such ease. And of course, I wrap it with plastic wrap again. I remember when I got this table a few years ago, a friend gave it to me and it had a lot of scratches on top and it was a real crackle finish. Like it just wasn't in great shape. So that's why I had ended up painting it, and it just never occurred to me at the time to refinish it because that was not what was popular at the time, you know. And the more and more I see it now where people are leaving the natural wood, the more and more I like it. So I think this was definitely the right choice. While citrus strip is okay to use indoors, I do not use mineral spirits indoors. The odor is so bad, you can feel it frying your brain cells, I swear. So I do use it outside and I wear my mask whenever I'm using mineral spirits. And I'm using a super fine steel wool and just pouring the mineral spirits on the piece to remove whatever residue was left on there from that citrus strip. And I'm not done stripping the piece, but I just want to see what I have underneath here. You know, I want to let it dry and then see what the wood is going to look like. So now I need to strip the legs. I know that I shellacked the legs at one point and I used some white wax in all those little details on the side. And the wax is really hard to get out once that wax dries. So I could have used my mineral spirits, but that really wasn't working. And I needed to get that shellac off anyway because I want to sand this down nice and smooth. So I just use my citrus strip on the legs, leave it for 45 minutes, and then come back and remove it. And I have to flip the piece upside down and also work on the bottom. And even the bottom of the top shelf, I had to sand. I didn't end up citrus stripping it because it would have just got stuck everywhere, so I just sanded it. Now, I don't use the Carbide Scraper very often. I've only used it a few times when I needed to, but I found that it was really, really helpful in removing some of the finish on this. And I want to do that because when you're sanding sometimes certain woods, the sander can be really rough and it can leave a lot of swirls. So instead of sanding the entire piece, the scraper works really nice. So once I have scraped the legs and got rid of most of the finish, now I can go through with, this is a 120 grit, and it takes me like 2 seconds to sand everything off. It doesn't take long at all because Citrus Strip and the Carbide Scraper did most of the work already. Now I just work my way on all the legs and around the table, and it takes me only about 20 minutes to sand the entire thing. And I have my proper PPE on, I have my glasses and my mask on, just so that I don't get any of these wood particles in my eyes or my lungs. And any hard to reach spots, I just go back with that little Carbide Scraper. This is Dixie Belle's No Pain Gel Stain in American Honey. It's their new stain. I just wanted to give it a try and see what it would look like, so I flipped the table upside down. And while it's going on, I really, really like it. It's very warm. So I started applying it, and I started applying it to the legs just to see how it would look. And I decided that maybe it's pulling too red because the wood underneath, I'm not sure what it is. I'm not an expert at wood. Somebody had suggested to me that it was mahogany. So it definitely is gonna pull red no matter what. So I thought, well, what combats red is blues, so maybe something a little bit more on the cooler side would help. Before I realized that, I did end up staining the entire piece with the American Honey, but it's not really a big deal because it just took me, again, about 10 minutes, and I just sanded it all back off. You know, sometimes it's okay to experiment with your stain colors because you don't know how it's going to look once it's on the piece, especially if you're unsure of what the wood is underneath. Once I had it all sanded back, I chose my next stain color, and that was the No Pain Gel Stain in Golden Ash. I knew when it says ash, it means that it's a little bit more on the cooler side. It's just like hair. I used to be a cosmetologist, so I always think about hair. And I really want this to look updated. And sometimes when it's really, really orange or really, really red, it dates it a bit. The Golden Ash is still brown, but it's on the cooler side. And because we have so much warmth in the wood tone underneath, it'll just sort of neutralize it. When I apply the No Pain Gel Stain, I actually rub it in, and I'm always making sure to wear a pair of gloves because it is oil-based. So if it gets on your fingers, it's so hard to get off. And if you leave any streaking on your piece, like if you just leave a clump and you don't smooth it out, it'll dry like that. So you want to be sure that you're getting a nice smooth finish. And as you can see, this is the right color. I usually use the No Pain Gel Stain in Walnut because it's so gorgeous, but this might be my new favorite color. For this project, I applied 2 coats of the No Pain Gel Stain, and I waited 2 hours in between coats. You could even wait 3. The longer you wait, the better. And before applying any sort of top coat, you want to make sure you wait at least 3 days. That's really important, and I do not recommend that you use any oil-based top coats. Even though the wood is warm, it's just because it's the No Pain Gel Stain. You want to use a water-based top coat over it, or it can reactivate your gel stain. And I just wanted to show you how it looked when I applied it to the side. I love the sides. I love the way that they came out. They look so pretty. I was amazed at how this table took the stain. It took it so nice, and that's why I just know it was meant to be stained and not painted. I was a little bit nervous about doing a restoration piece rather than, you know, painting. I love painting furniture, but sometimes the furniture doesn't need it. And I love this table so much. It has so much character. I think this is what it's meant to be. And here we are at that second coat. I want to address a few things about when you're restoring a piece. A lot of people feel very intimidated by it because most furniture has a veneer on it. And a veneer is just a really thin sheet of nice wood over maybe particle board or plywood. And that's how a lot of furniture, I mean in the US at least, is made. When people are sanding varnish off, or you're sanding paint off, or you're sanding the stain off, you're really working that veneer really hard. So I like to opt to strip it first, because then you're gently taking off those layers without having to sand really, really hard. And when you sand really, really hard, sometimes you can blow straight through that veneer, and then your stain won't cover it, and you'll be able to see the plywood through. Your stain won't look even. So if you're gonna do a restoration piece, really look at your wood, see what's going on, and then decide whether or not you're gonna use a stripper first. I like to opt to use the stripper first for those reasons. And for the top coat, just to keep it nice and protected, I'm using Dixie Belle's clear coat in satin. I love spraying the top coat. It makes it so much easier. I added 3 coats of the top coat with the sprayer. It just gives it such beautiful even coverage. You're gonna see this sprayer a lot more on my channel for the top coat because it's just so simple and it comes out flawless. Here's a reminder of what it looked like before, and here's what it looks like today. I also have the glass top that came with the top of the table, so I don't have to worry about water rings or anything, you know, don't have to worry about any damage happening to it. I'm really happy with the results. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Did you like it better painted, or do you like it better natural? If you're interested in using citrus strip, I have a video right here that you can check out with some tips and tricks to help.